In this video, we will understand certain basic definitions of the Companies Act, which we need to understand to go further with the other important sections of the Companies Act. The definitions are given under Section 2 of the Companies Act. To begin with, let us first understand the definition of a subsidiary company. Subsidiary company's definition is covered under Section 2, subsection 87. Whenever we get a reference of the word subsidiary company, a general notion comes to our mind that subsidiary is where more than 50% shareholding is with some other company, which is called the holding company. But the Companies Act has got more to it than just the shareholding. Let us now discuss that. As per Section 2, the definition of subsidiary company is a company in relation to a holding company in which the holding company either controls the composition of the board of directors or exercises or controls more than 50% of the total voting power, either at its own or together with other subsidiaries. So, if the relation between two companies satisfies either of the two conditions, they will be called as holding and subsidiary companies. Now, let us understand these conditions. The first one says the controlling of the composition of board of directors. Now, what does that mean? If a company has a power or authority which can be exercised by it at its discretion to appoint or remove all or majority of the directors of another company, then such another company would be considered as its subsidiary company. For example, A Limited has the authority or the power to remove or appoint all or the majority of directors of B Limited. Then A Limited would be considered as the holding company of B Limited. Now, when can such situation arise? This may happen in case of a business arrangement between two companies where they agree to such kind of an arrangement or agreement, and in such situation the relation between the two companies would be that of a holding and a subsidiary company. Coming to the second condition, it says when one company controls more than 50% of the total voting power in another company, either at its own or together with one or more of its subsidiaries, then such other company would be considered as the subsidiary company of the one controlling it. Now, a very important point to be noted here is it does not talk about the shareholding in the company, rather it talks about the voting power percentage. Now, how do we ascertain the voting power? Ordinary equity shares have one vote against one share, but in case of equity shares with differential rights, the member may have one vote against 10 shares or one vote against 5 shares. So, these conditions have to be kept in mind while considering the total voting percentage. So, whenever we have to ascertain whether a company is a subsidiary company or not, we need to check whether its corporate member holds more than 50% of the voting rights in the company or not. If it does, it will be considered as a subsidiary company. Now, moving forward, there are certain explanations which have been given in this section to make the definition of subsidiary company more easy to understand and remember. One such explanation is a company shall be deemed to be a subsidiary company of holding company even if the control referred in subclause 1 or 2 is of another subsidiary company of the holding company. Now, to make it easy to understand, let us take an example. A company A Limited has a subsidiary B Limited, which further has a subsidiary C Limited. Now, C Limited will also be considered as a subsidiary of A Limited. So, the subsidiary of a subsidiary company will ultimately become subsidiary of the holding company as well. Second explanation which has been given is the company word includes any body corporate. Now, the word body corporate is made up of two types of companies. One Indian company and another is the foreign company. So, body corporate includes both Indian and foreign companies. So, for this section, wherever we will be referring the word company, it will include both Indian as well as foreign companies. Now, MCA released a clarification on 27 December 2013 with respect to the holding of shares under fiduciary capacity. And it says that whenever the shares are held by a company in another company in a fiduciary capacity, it shall not be considered for the purpose of determining the holding subsidiary relationship. Now, what do we understand by the term fiduciary capacity? When a person is holding a title in the shares of another person under a legal trust, it is said that such person is holding such shares under a fiduciary capacity. One classic example of holding shares under fiduciary capacity is that of mutual funds. Whenever a person invests in a mutual fund, it further invests in various companies collectively on behalf of its clients. Now, the mutual fund does not have any legal interests in such shares. So, it is holding such shares in a fiduciary capacity for its investors. Now, relating such example of mutual funds with our clarification, if the mutual funds is holding more than 50% share of a particular company on behalf of its various investors, then such mutual fund will not be considered as the holding company of such other company, because it is holding such shares as under a fiduciary capacity on behalf of its investors. Now, on 20th September 2017, MCA introduced the company's Restriction on Number of Layers Rules 2017. These rules are best understood if read with the definition of subsidiary company. Let us understand what these rules provide for. It says a company shall not have more than 2 layers of subsidiaries. So, if a company A Limited has a subsidiary B Limited, which further has a subsidiary C Limited, it should not have any further subsidiary. That is, C Limited should not have any further subsidiary. So, A Limited can have only 2 layers of subsidiaries, B Limited and C Limited. However, it excludes certain layers of subsidiaries. What are these? The first exclusion is when a company incorporated outside India is acquired by an Indian company and it has more than 2 layers of subsidiaries. Examples of first exclusions could be: example number 1, A Limited, which is an Indian holding company, has an Indian subsidiary B Limited. Now, such B Limited has invested further into C Limited, which is incorporated outside India. Such company C Limited already has 2 more layers of subsidiaries in its own country. Now, as per the exclusion, A Limited's subsidiary can acquire a further layer of subsidiary irrespective it has more layers of subsidiaries or not, provided such subsidiary is incorporated outside India. If we take another example, A Limited is an Indian holding company. B Limited is its Indian subsidiary, which further has a subsidiary in India as C Limited. Now, can C Limited further invest in D Limited, which is incorporated outside India? No, C Limited cannot invest in D Limited. Why? Because C Limited is already the second layer of investment or a second layer of subsidiary in India. It cannot further invest in D Limited. In the first example, the second layer of subsidiary was incorporated outside India. So, it can have further layers of subsidiaries to it. But in the second example, C Limited is an Indian company which is the second layer of subsidiary. So, it cannot acquire another subsidiary whether in India or outside India. Coming back to the second exclusion, it says a layer of wholly owned subsidiary shall not be considered while considering the 2 layers of subsidiaries. Now, let us take an example. The example 3 provides for this exclusion. A Limited is an Indian holding company which has a wholly owned subsidiary B Limited. B Limited further has an Indian subsidiary C Limited, which further has a subsidiary D Limited. Now, in this example, the provisions of 2 layers of subsidiary is not violated. How? Because it provides for the exclusion of a layer which consists of a wholly owned subsidiary, which is B Limited. So, now the 2 layers would be C Limited and D Limited. So, such kind of relation can be there between the companies. Moving forward, we must understand a very important difference between the vertical holding of subsidiaries and horizontal holding of subsidiaries. These rules of two layers of subsidiaries are applicable only on the vertical holding of subsidiaries. The example could be A Limited has a subsidiary B Limited, which further has a subsidiary C Limited. So the investment is moving vertically, and thus these rules will be applicable. In case of horizontal holding, the company holds shares of its subsidiaries directly without intervention of any other layer of subsidiary. Like in this example, A Limited is an Indian holding company which has directly invested in B Limited, C Limited and D Limited. B Limited, C Limited and D Limited are not related to each other as subsidiary companies. So these rules are applicable only on vertical holding of subsidiaries and not horizontal holding of subsidiaries. Now there are certain companies which have been exempted from the provisions of the Companies Restrictions on Number of Layers Rules 2017. They are a banking company which has been defined under Section 5 Clause C of the Banking Regulation Act 1949, an insurance company, systematically important non-banking financial company which is registered with RBI, and a government company. Now what if a company has more than two layers of subsidiaries? When the rules were notified in 2017, the companies were given a time period of 150 days to file Form CRL1. They were also provided not to add more layers of subsidiaries beyond the layers which are allowed under these rules, which is two layers of subsidiaries. Further, subsequent to the publication of this notification, if the company has reduced its layers of subsidiaries, such company should have number of subsidiaries as reduced or two layers of subsidiaries, whichever is higher of the two. Now, what are the penal provisions for contravention of provisions of these rules? It has first provided for the definition of defaulting persons, which is the company and every officer in default. For the penalty, a fine can be imposed on the defaulting persons which can be extended up to an amount of rupees 10,000. But in case of continuous contravention of the provisions, an amount of rupees 1,000 can be charged for every day till such contravention continues. Now another definition is that of associate companies. This has been provided in subsection 6 of section 2. So there are three conditions for ascertaining the relation of associate companies. Now there is a company A Limited which can be considered as the associate of B Limited if the first condition is B Limited has significant influence over A Limited. Now what do we understand by the term significant influence? Significant influence can be if B Limited controls at least 20% of the total voting power in A Limited. Now again, just like the definition of subsidiary companies, associate companies also accounts for the voting power and not for the shareholding percentage. So, if a company holds more than 20% of the voting power in another company, then such company will be considered as the associate company. Another meaning of the significant influence has been given as control or participation in the business decisions under an agreement. So, if B has the power to control or participate in the business decisions of A Limited under a business arrangement, B Limited will again be considered as the associate company of A Limited. So, if we have to check whether A Limited is an associate of B Limited or not, we need to see whether B Limited holds more than 20% of the voting right in A Limited or not, or whether B Limited has the control over the business decisions of A Limited under some arrangement or agreement. The other condition says that A Limited should not be a subsidiary of B Limited. So, whenever a company is subsidiary of another company, then such company cannot be considered as an associate as well. It will remain as a subsidiary only. When two companies are joint venture companies, then also they are considered as associate companies. Now, what do we understand by joint venture companies? Whenever two or more parties come together to engage into a joint arrangement, whereby they have joint control over such arrangement and they have the rights to the net assets of such arrangement. So if two or more companies are joint venture companies, they shall again be considered as the associate companies. Moving forward to our next definition, which is the definition of small companies. It is given in subsection 85 of section 2 of the Companies Act 2013. For falling under the definition of a small company, a company must satisfy two conditions. So, if it doesn't satisfy any of the following two conditions, then it will not be considered as a small company. It has to satisfy both the conditions together to fall under the category of a small company. The first condition is the paid up share capital should not exceed 50 lakhs rupees. So, my paid up share capital can include equity share capital or preference share capital. So my paid up share capital should not be more than rupees 50 lakhs. It can be 50 lakhs or less than 50 lakhs, but it should not be more than that. The second condition is that turnover should not exceed rupees 2 crores. So a company whose paid up share capital is not more than 50 lakh rupees and whose turnover does not exceed rupees 2 crores falls under the definition of a small company. Now, there are certain companies which have been excluded from the definition of small companies, irrespective of their paid up share capital or turnover. First is the public companies. Since they are meant to be large companies, public companies have been outrightly excluded. Section 8 companies, the companies which have been incorporated for no profit motive. Another one is holding or subsidiary company. So if a company is a holding company or a subsidiary company of another company, then it cannot be considered as a small company irrespective of its paid up share capital and turnover. The last one is a company or a body corporate which is governed by any special act, like insurance companies, banking companies. They are excluded from the definition of small companies. Now, it is very important for us to understand and remember these definitions, because other sections of the Companies Act with respect to the loan by the company or investment by the company or preparation of financial statements and many other sections has special reference or exemptions available to these kind of companies. Thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe the video. You may reach me at aditijain241@gmail.com. Thank you.